This video is sponsored by BetterHelp. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 may be canceled. And even worse, MAPPA could be facing total collapse. No, this is not clickbait or some hyper overreaction as over the past couple of weeks, and really years if you've been following MAPPA like I have. Tons of employees have been revealing their experience working under MAPPA as an animator, detailing some of the most abhorrent, unfair, and toxic work conditions you'll ever hear about, and that's guaranteed. Some of what they detailed was the amount of time it took, for example, to produce JJK 0 and Chainsaw Man Season 1, and how JJK Season 2 is experiencing mass studio upheaval and even departure in the middle of production. So we'll be detailing all of that and even newer information that has recently come out and more. Do you love Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, Demon Slayer, or One Piece? Well, this channel is for you. We cover all sorts of anime, from seasonal anime like Undead Unluck and Frieren to breaking anime news as it's happening. Join us in obtaining 100,000 subscribers, as we're less than 1,500 away from the big milestone. Do your part in helping me get that plaque and the verified marker. Subscribe. And now a word from the sponsor of this video, BetterHelp, bringing you affordable access to therapy all at your fingertips. Health is wealth, which is the mantra of the SeaTactics, and while I spend a lot of day working and exercising, all of that means nothing if I am not able to take care of my mental health. YouTube and music are basically my entire life, and at times when my mental health was at its worst, I couldn't do what I love to do, which was creating content and writing music. Then BetterHelp came to me with a sponsorship years back, and ever since then I've been able to better maintain my mental health and get back to doing what I love. Signing up was also easy and quick, and once I did, I was greeted with a short survey, which in my case almost immediately matched me with an amazing, professional, and certified therapist. Ladies and gentlemen, simply put, you would not see my videos right now without BetterHelp, and that's the truth. So if you are like me, then a therapist from BetterHelp may be a great fit for you, and trust me, it's something you should at least try out. With the barrier of entry being so low, it's such a convenient way to connect with your perfect licensed therapist, or even change therapists if it doesn't fit. You can choose phone calls, video chats, or instant messaging for your sessions at your leisure. Make the therapy your own, and with over 30,000 therapists in BetterHelp's network, you have access to an incredibly diverse pool of expertise. Once again, starting is easy. Fill out the survey and schedule your sessions to fit around your schedule. If your initial match isn't right, you can get a new one at no extra cost. Join the over 4 million people using BetterHelp for a healthier, happier life. Visit betterhelp.com/SeaTactics. That's BETTER help.com/SeaTactics to start today with 10% off. Thank you very much to BetterHelp for sponsoring the video. Okay, to start, all of this information comes from tweets that the actual staff have made, some of them breaking NDAs to do so. As well, do not harass animators. I've seen many people believe that the animators are responsible for the scheduling of the anime. This is simply not true, as we'll even go over in this video. The animators only animate and do what they are told. So if you think you can come in here and lie and spread information about this or anything, well, you're wrong and you're getting the banhammer.
If you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not.
This is a delicate topic, and I want to present it all as it has been communicated and let you make up your mind about it. So with that out of the way, keep that in mind and let's jump into it. So first off, most of this starts with a bevy of tweets on November 14th. What was different about these was that it wasn't just detailing some of the poor work conditions, but detailing that the animators and staff have actually reached a breaking point, meaning that on November 14th is the day that MAPPA staff basically decided enough was enough, and the studio as we know it began to break down and crumble. Some of the people who made these tweets are actually industry-leading animators and directors. Some of them you may know, like Shinsuke Okubo, who directed episode 12 of JJK Season 2, and as well episode 16 directors Itsuki Tsuchigami, along with 13's director Kazuto Arai, even Hokuyu Go, who made tweets regarding this as well. But for now, I want to focus on Tsuchigami, the episode 16 director. Back in early September and October October, on his Twitter account, he made the following tweets. If the production schedule of the series is obviously unreasonable, I have a suspicion that there will be some pranks that will actually extend the series by one season. Please, surprise. It's not a good idea to produce works that the public demands quality on an unreasonable schedule, because some people are caught between the two and have to cut back on themselves. Then, in late October, he states, I think if you were to work within the time period set by the company and use normal working hours, you would end up with something truly terrible. It would have been tiring if I had time for one more season, but I guess I was able to keep trying my best. So this brings us to November, when Tsuchigami said the following. Although it is unpleasant to be praised in the name of the company, I have to be grateful for the hard work and dedication of the company's production and filming staff. They are contributing immensely to the work despite the unavoidable circumstances. Basically, what he was saying with this recent tweet is that while he doesn't appreciate that MAPPA is taking all the credit of the staff, that despite that, he does appreciate the dedication and hard work of the company's producing and filming staff, as despite the company's higher-ups setting these schedules, there are indeed good people working at MAPPA that are more ingrained within the company that are trying their absolute hardest to help out the animators, even though the circumstances are unavoidable. So keep this in mind, because I want to see if you guys are able to actually connect the dots as the story evolves. As for the earlier tweets, Tsuchigami is basically saying that he has suspicions that the people at MAPPA want to extend the series by one season to maximize their profits, and that he's begging for the higher-ups to surprise him, basically alluding to the fact that he's probably right. As well, he says that MAPPA's current approach is ill-advised and not a good idea, because Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man are two series that are basically in the zeitgeist of both Japanese and Western cultures right now. Anime is the biggest it's ever been, and JJK is on the front lines, and for that reason, the public demands extremely high quality, especially in our current times where everyone is expecting perfection and basically are critics. This also means that people have to cut back on themselves, meaning that they have to stop basically taking care of themselves and their families, basically making their job their first priority even over their own lives. He then says something astonishing, that if this series were to have normal work hours, so like 9 to 5 p.m. just as an example, that Jujutsu Kaisen would turn out to be a horrible production. He's basically saying that the only reason these series are turning out good is because they're crunching to insane hours, on top of already sacrificing their own lives for this job. However, what I've seen a lot of people miss when it comes to this story is that back in July of this year, Tsuchigami revealed that Jujutsu Kaisen 0, and I'm not kidding when I say this, was produced within a time frame that shouldn't have been possible. Quote, Jujutsu Kaisen 0 probably shouldn't have been completed in terms of production. If we set a precedent that can be made in that time frame, it will only make things more difficult in the future. Well, on November 11th, Hon's tweet revealed something truly unbelievable. The worst cycle is when the staff members all somehow manage to complete a schedule that would be impossible to meet under normal circumstances, while seeing hell and the higher-ups who saw the results misunderstand and neglect to improve, thinking, it's not bad, it can be done. I wonder if the beginning of this was when they completed a movie in 4 months. That's right, combining these two statements, what this reads is that because Jujutsu Kaisen 0 was completed within 4 months, that the higher-ups at MAPPA decided that this style of production can be done, so they thought it would be best to produce anime like this, basically all of the time. Now keep in mind, Jujutsu Kaisen 0 may in fact be one of the best looking films in anime of all time, so the fact that both of them revealed that this film was made within 4 months is just simply unbelievable, as on average, anime films take 2 to 3 years to complete. Then, things really just get worse to catastrophic, as on November 14th, Kazuto Arai, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 director, stated, bad news came in and I suddenly felt deflated. It's the most boring ending I could think of. Oh no, the festival is over, okay. Let's disband. Earlier that day, however, Hokuya Go, leading key animator for series like Mob Psycho 100, One Punch Man Season 1 Episode 12, and My Hero Academia, said the following. When leaving the company, throw the key card into the company's trash bin. And you can understand his frustrations quite easily, because in October, Go stated, quote, hell nah, nothing is gonna get delayed. Business partners and board members are the only priority. It took Disney 10 years to start feeling the repercussions. I wonder how long this small company will last as how it is universally recognized among audiences right now. Basically, what these tweets are stating is that because MAPPA's higher ups only care about the board members, aka the suits and their business partners, aka the other suits, that nothing will change. And because nothing will change, he is now trying to get people to basically quit by throwing their key cards in the trash, as the horrific treatment has gone on for so long that all that is left is bitter resentment towards the product they're working on. Now, the next tweet is a little more graphic, showing some pretty hard suicidal imagery. So, if you're in a darker place right now, I want to give you ample time to skip to this point in the video so you don't have to see it. 3, 2, 1. All right, here we go. Now, this tweet is a little bit meta, so I'll try to explain it as we go along. The tweets in question is from the incredible talented animator Shinsuke Okubo. You may know him for the key animation on episode 46 on Attack on Titan, and the second key animation for One Piece 1065, 1072, 1074, and 1079, and as well a plethora of other series. His tweet is simply just a picture of a Shirobako character, Emma Yasuhara, hanging herself. This image is not only striking, but loaded with self-referential meaning, as Emma Yasuhara's job in Shirobako is much like Okubo's key animation. To give even more context to his plight, in early September, Okubo stated on Twitter, quote, "The production desk just abandoned their duties, it's over." He would go on to state that everything is just too terrible. What do you think people are? This is all to surmise into one point. Okubo, under the stress and the entire production leaving and the turmoil of the stressful work environment, which is basically driving him to essentially crack under the pressure, having a mental breakdown, which in turn is giving him suicidal ideations. So he simply cannot really believe this treatment, relaying the message that it's so horrible that the people in charge must think that humans are, well, something less than humans. On top of that, Satoshi Sakai, who worked on Attack on Titan, stated the following: "Overseas people tend to say what's going on. I think that the Japanese people tend to say keep compliance and don't post your dissatisfaction on social media sites." Well, I understand both. Of course, I can't disclose information, but as a fellow worker, I can understand the pain of not saying anything in extreme situations. Sakai is basically saying that because of the cultural stigma speaking out and going against the grain, it's hard for people to even make tweets like what we're seeing now. Meaning that because MAPPA made them sign NDAs to not disclose behind the scene production info, and because of the culture in Japan, MAPPA is using that as leverage to, well, wash away their treatment. And you can't blame the animators, because remember, this is not something that is culturally acceptable to do. If you come from a Western culture, well, if you're dissatisfied, we just speak our minds. I've done that with YouTube plenty of times in the past, just as an example. But for the Japanese, well, they can't, because it's seen as a bad thing to do. If that doesn't make sense to you, then, well, yeah, it doesn't. That's fair. But just know that despite that, they cannot speak out. It's just not possible. Now, for some people, you'd think that because of this horrible treatment that at least they would be compensated for it. No? Well, wrong. While MAPPA did at one point give a pay raise to the staff, it seems that really didn't help at all. We return to our old friend Tsuchigami, who said on Twitter about the payment from MAPPA, quote, "When I think about the scale of the work based on the amount of reaction, I realize it's truly a large-scale project. At the same time, it's disheartening that the compensation for the work is not exceptional compared to others, and instead, it's a relatively insufficient amount considering the position. It's a sad situation. There seems to be no dream." What he is saying here is that because of the high-profile releases that are JJK and Chainsaw Man, that the compensation for that high-profile work, high-profile dollars, makes sense and that's fair, except, they're not even getting paid the bare minimum. In fact, it's not even enough to live off of. So the dream Tsuchigami had is basically dead to him. This is even worse considering that Jujutsu Kaisen 0, the film that the animators produced and crunched in 4 months, made MAPPA $200 million. And one could ask, where is that money going? And I hate to be cynical, but we all know it's not going to the animators, it's not going to the staff. There is really only one other place it can go. I'll let you make up your mind on what that is. Ippei Ichii states, "I read a summary of MAPPA. It was a tweet from an earnest person who said that they had to work themselves to the bone to maintain the quality of the work until the very last minute, even though there was no schedule, and that the pay was not fair. If there is a problem with the statement, MAPPA will issue a statement, and it is too cruel for outsiders to say that they should keep their confidentiality. The most important thing to protect is the mind and body. He continues, I think it is highly authoritarian and problematic for outsiders to use the pressure of common sense to reduce the animator who had fully contributed with his or her spirit and physical strength to the limit to a binary opposition structure and make a tweet that wields paternal authority. What he's basically saying is that outsiders who criticize and blame the animators has zero right to say or have that opinion. These people that are saying stuff like this don't even have an iota of what it takes to do what they do, to dedicate their body, mind, and spirit to production of this scale, and then as well to be constantly, limited by the structure of the work itself. And I agree with him fully. The people who do this, and trust me, I've banned many people in my comment section for these kind of comments, they sadly do exist, but the people who do this are underachieving slackers anyways. So if you see people who say this, call them out. These people aren't real fans of animation, anime, or really probably anything. Really, they're just out to spread misinformation and division between people. They're just sheep. Okay, so after all of this information I've given you, we have to now ask the question, where does all of this head? Well, sadly, I think Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 is sitting in a wait-and-see state. If there is a new episode out, then it's continuing. If it's not, then Jujutsu Kaisen will likely be canceled. And the reason for this is simply due to the immense mistreatment and horrible scheduling. Let me put it into perspective for you of how truly messed up the scheduling is. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1 aired in 2021. It has a relatively normal production schedule of 18 months before it even aired, meaning it was finished before it even came out. The production committees, in this case Toho, Shueisha, and plenty of others, are responsible for scheduling, meaning board members, pretty much, aka the suits, or as Johnny Silverhand might say, corpos. Before production even begins, a date is decided on when it will air, and for that reason, the staff have to hit these deadlines. They're strict and usually cannot be changed. This is famously the reason why Wit Studios left the production of Attack on Titan and how MAPPA came to produce it. The schedule for the release was so tight that even Wit, who had already faced immense challenges with Attack on Titan for pretty much the entirety of their tenure producing it, wouldn't even accept that challenge. And consider as well, even when MAPPA took over, those production issues persisted on top of the already tight schedule and new challenges of switching to a new studio and a new art style. So when it comes to Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, it faced similar challenges. The committee set a date, they had to hit it, and MAPPA agreed without a second glance. However, let's rewind the clocks to Jujutsu Kaisen ending airing in March of 2022, and with the span of 4 months, JJK 0 was produced right after and released in December of the same year. After the completion of that production, a majority of the team for JJK Season 1 and 0 started work on Chainsaw Man, which had no production committee and was completely funded by MAPPA themselves, mind you, but that really has no bearing on this. Chainsaw Man aired in October of 2022, so doing some maths, Chainsaw Man Season 1 was probably completed in 9 months' time for 12 episodes, which originally it was supposed to be as high as 27 episodes across multiple cores, according to leaks and rumors. So, after Chainsaw Man was completed, the entire team then shifted over to Jujutsu Kaisen Season 0, which as we know, came out in July of 2023, which means that, at the most, JJK Season 2 has had something like 7 to 8 months time to produce. This is what the animators are working under right now. Basically, zero downtime. They've been crunching for at least 12 to 18 months with no breaks. That's generous. Full steam ahead, and that is just insane considering that Chainsaw Man and JJK are not easy to make. They focus a lot on fights and animation. It's just not easy work. Now we get to my opinion on all of this. I find this absolutely unacceptable. Yet at the same time, this also sadly is not anything new. In fact, it is the norm in this line of work and regularly happens. MAPPA is not the only studio to do it. Just as an example, Madhouse and A1 Pictures, especially the latter recently, has faced heat over this with Aniplex's unacceptable scheduling for 86 and Nier Automata. I covered every episode of 86 on this channel as they aired, and the final 2 episodes, sort of like Attack on Titan, were delayed several months between each other. Granted, this was during the pandemic, but Nier Automata was delayed indefinitely for many months after the pandemic. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that none of this is sadly new or unique to just MAPPA, and while we are all focusing all on MAPPA right now as they're the main targets, we should instead be taking some of that energy and supporting the animators and unionization, or to speak up more than they should feel comfortable with. The thing is that with any art form that's sold for money or meant to make money, you're gonna be crunched. from animators all the way to us lowly YouTubers. We all crunch for our art forms, and that's normal. It's a healthy part of making art. However, there are extreme situations where animators and the workers who are being exploited. This is what's happening. This isn't a passionate animator team crunching a couple weeks before air date to polish up a couple keyframes. This is pure unadulterated evil suits and corporations exploiting the talents of animators and using both the culture of their country and the system against them to exploit them for money in which they're not even getting paid. It's sickening capitalism, and Japan isn't really even capitalist. In my opinion, if MAPPA continues to do this, I think what we're going to see is this studio will collapse and maybe even close down. It's only inevitable because this pace is unsustainable, especially when staff are becoming suicidal. It's just not humane and realistic, and all studios who do this always, every time, experience mass staff departure. Look at Madhouse. All their freelance staff pretty much have left. They didn't do One Punch Man Season 2 either, because they couldn't do it. And Frieren is now considered their comeback because, well, surprise, surprise, the scheduling and work environment is top-notch, and the series is, as we speak, completed. Which, for JJK Season 2, every episode this season has released unfinished and has seen work on it minutes until broadcasting time. Not kidding on that, by the way. In my opinion, I think the worst of all of this started with JJK 0. The animators should have never agreed to 4 months. They should have only agreed to 3 years at least. But what do you think about the current state of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 and the state of MAPPA? As well, this video took a long time to produce, so if you could, just drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We cover anything anime related here. As well, help me get to 100k subs. I would greatly appreciate all the support that you guys can give me. And as well, be sure to sign up with BetterHelp through my link to get 10% off your first month. Financially support the channel by becoming a patron, where you'll gain access to my mega One Piece arc reviews and first impressions. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.